Morning, YouTube. Today we're on the site of the Moores Creek Bridge battlefield. It was fought in February 27th, 1776, which would have been about 10 months after Concord and Lexington. So it was fought between the Patriots and the Loyalists, and it was a brief battle, but very important. So we'll take a walk down through the history trail here. Okay, so behind me is Negro Head Point Road, which led to the coast. Brigadier General McDonald was leading the Loyalists, headed for the coast. As news had come down from the north, the governor, Royal Governor Joshua Martin, abandoned the capital in New Bern and moved to Fort Johnson, and then he was pushed out of that out onto a British warship. And he presented a plan to the powers in the UK or in Britain to he was going to raise a 10,000 man army and take back, or basically take over, recapture North Carolina. He was only able to raise about 1,600. So anyway, a lot of those were along the coast, richer planters, some new arrivals from Scotland, but for the most part, the Patriots were more abundant out here in the. We're along the coast, but from the inland. So they were basically the McDonald was trying to get to the coast to join up with the naval detachment that was there, and be supplied and turn around and come back this way. Patriots were basically moving ahead of him, destroying bridges and basically delaying him, blocking his way. The bridge here was strategic, and that it went through a swampy area, so it was easily defensible on both sides, and this was the last way for him to get down to Wilmington's, like 20 miles away. So let's head up the road here. Okay, so this little mound is long, straddles Negro Head Road, and as it goes along, you can see these are where the earthworks were for the colonials. We don't know how high they were. We can assume that they were probably higher than what you see here, but again, we don't know. This is excellent defensible ground. Colonel Alexander Lillington got here first before the British, for the Loyalists, and he chose this. The earthworks straddle the road, go up against the creek over here and over there. So they basically, and nobody could cross the creek without them seeing them. On the other side, Colonel Richard Caswell had a small encampment over there, basically served as a decoy. So Lillington had 150 Minutemen here, but he also had Caswell's 850 militia. So the British, as they were coming down the road, the scouts said that they were vulnerable, that the colonials were vulnerable here. More than likely, they they didn't notice the ones across the creek here. So as they that night when they were approaching, Caswell moved his men over here. So they basically drew them in with the Moores Creek Bridge down here. As Caswell's men came across, they pulled up planks, greased the timbers, so to make it very difficult for the Loyalists to get across. So let's go down this way. Okay, so now we're on the other side of the creek. The bridge is in that direction. Back in here, it's sort of swampy and thick, and this is where Caswell's men were camped. And so on the night of February 26th, James Hepburn was sent as an emissary to ask the Patriots to surrender. They, of course, said no and sent him back. He reported that they were few in number, and they had their backs to the creek. So, you know, the Loyalists figured they come in, they would be able to take them on, force them back against the creek, and be able to win in that way. Now, what the Loyalists didn't know is during the night, well, they didn't know about the forces on the other side or the earthworks, but during the night, Caswell's men moved across. Like I said, they pulled up the planks on the bridge, and the Cloyd's Highlanders, when they got here, found the camp empty. Fires were still going, so they were sure that they hadn't left very long. They yelled, their rallying cry was King George and broadswords, and they made their way across the Moores Creek Bridge with, again, no planks across, so they get across the timbers. So now we're going to head that way towards the earthworks and to get an idea of what they faced. All right. Okay, so we're coming up on a recreation of the Moores Creek Bridge. Now imagine that with no planks, just the timbers going across. You've got, you know, all these Highland Scotchmen Loyalists trying to get across here. Now, again, they don't know what's ahead of them, and they want to. They're trying to get down this road and heading for the coast. And as you can see, we had a little bit of rain yesterday, so you can see swamp here, swamp area over here. The only way to go through this is right down the road. And as we're coming along, you can see, start seeing traces of the earthworks across here. They were anchored over there on the creek, and around there on the creek. And ahead of us, hang on. So ahead of us, you can see that the road went through the earthworks there. Cannon, swivel guns, pointed right down the road. And at about this point where this sign is within 30 paces of the earthworks is where McLeod was shot and killed. And they realized that they were in a trap, and the only thing they could do is charge. I mean, if they try to go back, they're going to get wiped out, shot from behind. They basically, they had their broadswords, and some they lost their leader, so some retreated, disarray. Others charged the earthworks with their broadswords, and Part of this is the last broadsword charge in the history of the Highland Scotsman. So you see that the Patriots definitely picked a good battleground. Road rises up to it. They're protected all the way around. So within seconds, the leading loyalists were decimated by the cannon, musket fire from up here. Let's see, some trying to escape drowned in the creek. More than 30 of the loyalists were killed. On the Patriot side, 1 man dead and 1 wounded. So again, this battle said February 27th, 1776, undermined royal hopes of raising a large loyalist army down here in the south. And afterwards, Patriots went through and they captured a large quantity of weapons, supplies, 15,000 pounds, which is in today's money almost 14 million. So this is a very decisive battle, very decisive victory. Very short battle, but very, very important. Okay, so as I said, very decisive victory. Now, why? What was the aftermath? Well, Cornwallis and the British fleet had sailed down here, and again, this is the beginning of the revolution. It's early in 1776. They wanted to take the southern colonies. This defeat made them decide to concentrate on the north. A lot of troublemakers up there, but what does this mean other than, militarily? In April 12th, 1776, the North Carolina Provincial Congress instructed the delegates at the Second Continental Congress to vote for independence. So the first colony to instruct their delegates to vote for independence. So this victory here, again, very important militarily. It convinced the British to head north. Now we know from the Guilford Courthouse battle that eventually Cornwallis did come back down here. But that was 5 years later. So this convinced them to head north, and very strong colonial patriotic forces in the area. So now this monument behind me is to Private John Grady. He was the only patriot killed here. He was buried here, and like I said, so thank you, John. So why was this area so important? Back in the colonial times, this forest would have looked a lot different. Right now there's a lot of excuse me, a lot of loblolly pine. Back in those days, it would have been the longleaf pine. The Park Service is replanting so that over time this will start looking historic. This would be a longleaf pine, a young one, and they would grow very tall enough to be ship's masts. They would also tap them for the sap to render into tar and turpentine. So with the British Navy ever expanding the wood here to build the ships, the tar to seal the ships was very important. Moores Creek wasn't just a place for a battle. It ties into the tidal creeks down to Wilmington. Would have been used for shipping the barrels of tar and turpentine, used right up into the late 1800s at least. Let's go down this trail a little bit. Well, there you have it. That's why this area was important in the 18th century. By the time middle of the 19th century, ironclad ships came along. They didn't need the tar. The Ablali pine was taking over because it grew fast. They could get lumber out of it, and so the longleaf pines are very rare in this area. But that's why this area was important then, and so I guess that's it for today. Another battle that probably you've never heard of and I've never heard of, but see you later, YouTube. I'm headed farther south. As you can see, it's in the 70s, low 70s today here. I'm on near the coast, North Carolina. Last night I was up in Fayetteville, and it got down to about 27. So I like it down here along the coast and keep headed south. See you later, YouTube.